It's here. It's mystery box day. Let's go see what's inside. This is Whiskey and Wit. My name is Whitney, and on this channel I love to share things like DIYs and budget home decor. So welcome if this is the first time we're meeting, and if you are not new to my channel, you know I absolutely love the mystery box challenges. I have such a fun time with these. I packed up a box of Dollar Tree stuff and sent it over to Melanie at Simple Made Pretty. I was so excited to have her join the mystery box challenge. We've worked together on Instagram, done collabs, and I just love all the stuff she posts over there. So I'm excited to be doing it on YouTube. And then this box came to me from Wendy over at White Sparrow Living. Super excited. W names unite. Oh, so the first thing I see is this card, and look at this. Like, she totally wrote, how pretty. Hi Whitney, oh my goodness sister, these items are so random, but I have no doubt you'll make them into something cute, super cutie patootie. God bless her, remember to always be the light. Love, Wendy. Thank you, Wendy. This all was created more than 2 years ago, almost 3 now, in March by Courtney over at Creative on the Cheap. She does all the logistics behind the scenes, so if you love watching these, be sure to give her some love on her video. Let her know how much you love them, because she does all the background work. So kudos to Courtney. We appreciate her so much. Now, you get rules and regulations and a name. You fill up the box in accordance with the rules, send it off to that person, and in return, you get a box of goodies that you have to craft with. Packing paper. Packing paper. Oh, this is cute. Okay, this is super cute. A little delivery truck. This is from Valentine's Day, but these are great bases. We've got some stencils. This is Dollar Tree wallpaper with just some fun little lines on it. Oh, this is fun. What is this? Little leaf tray. That's very solid. We've got a buffalo check sign. You guys know how I feel about that. And a large Dollar Tree hanging decor. We've got some crosses. Okay, so thus far I can agree with Wendy that it is random stuff, but that is totally the name of the game with the mystery box, so no worries at all. Oh my gosh, she wrapped these challenge items so pretty. How cute, how cute, how cute. Okay, so challenge item number 1, I have to use this, and not too bad, not too bad. She sent me a wood cross. And then while I'm opening this, the twist this time is that we also have to work in a clothespin and a pipe cleaner slash chenille stem, whatever you call it, into the same DIY, as well as making sure we use our challenge items. She taped the back shut. Wendy, child-proof this on me, and I cannot get around child-proofing. That was not an attractive face. Probably couldn't make that face on camera, but here we are. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. These are actually so pretty, and I've not seen them at my Dollar Tree, so we will find something to do with these as well. I am going to brainstorm, figure out what I'm going to do with these items, and I will circle back with you in about 3 seconds. See you soon. Let's do this thing. So some of these items lend themselves to Christmas DIYs and some of them don't, but I am going to challenge myself and make all of these into Christmas DIY decor. The first thing I'm going to reach for are these sheets of wallpaper, and then I'm also going to grab this wrapper that Wendy sent me on the challenge item. So as we head into the winter, our scrap wood pile in our garage is getting a little crazy, so I decided to grab some 2x4 scrap, sand it down, and make these into some adorable little presents. So I measured my wallpaper just like I would regular wrapping paper, but I peeled off the back so I could stick it to the wood. It turned out really good, and it stuck pretty easily. I just made sure to get rid of any bulk on the ends as I folded it over and reinforced any of it with some double stick tape. Now I wanted a little bit of a gingerbread vibe, so I decided to make my own wrapping paper. I just printed out a design from Canva, and I will have this linked over on my blog. I'll have free printables for the whole video linked over there. Now I grabbed some more double stick tape and continued to wrap that middle box. So I had a little bit of red Christmas color, and then I realized the seam of the one box was wrong, so I had to redo it. If you got a white elephant gift, get some of this Dollar Tree wallpaper and wrap it in that. That'd be hilarious. Once I got it fixed, it looked so much better, and then I grabbed that green raffia from Wendy as well as some baker's twine that I had on hand. I had long enough pieces so that I could wrap it from the top around to the bottom, do a little wrist twist here, and wrap it back up to the top.
Then the top looked a little plain to me, so I wanted to add some sort of embellishment after I tied it together. So I decided to use these tags I got from Michael's. They were in their craft section for Christmas. I ended up getting them 40% off, and there's 24 stickers in each pack, so 40% off, $5 for 24 stickers. They have a ton of pretty watercolor things, and I ended up deciding to use this gingerbread coffee mug one. I popped a hole with a hole punch, tied it on to the end of my little string, tied a bow, trimmed the ends, and this was ready to go. I think this is going to be so cute in my gingerbread setup this year. I am planning to add some floating shelves like we had in the old house into my dining room for a big display. So be sure to let me know down in the comments, should I do a decorate with me and a Christmas home tour for my decor? Let me know if you want to see it, and I'd be happy to put that together.
The next item from the box we're going to cross off is this truck.
So first things first, I had to get this truck ready for a makeover. So I used my Cricut scraper tool and removed all of the glitter and extra paper on the front. It usually can peel off pretty easily, but you can also dampen it to get it to scrape off. And I used a heat gun to get that sticker off the back because that thing did not want to come off. Typical Dollar Tree stickers. Then I used my cute little measuring tool and decided that I was going to go create a graphic for the side of the truck. So in Canva, I created a new design at 5.5 inches by 4 inches. I recently got an iPad and I've been messing around in Procreate, so I decided to trace an image of Buddy the Elf and use that as the base for my truck design. So I imported into Canva, got rid of the background, and then this is a quick time lapse of me designing. Now, we don't have time today to get into all of my tips and tricks for Canva, but don't worry, I have 2 videos. I've got a Canva overview as well as one specifically on printable art that I will link down below so you can check that out. It'll go into more in depth, more time than we have here. Then I like to insert it into Google Docs to size it. You just drag your image onto a new document, and this is free to use. Then I go up to image options and size and rotation over to the right, and that's where you can edit the width and height so that I can change it to 5.5 inches wide, and then it's going to print to the size I want for my truck. I ended up doing a Clark Griswold version as well because you guys know me, I couldn't do Buddy and not do Clark. Printed this out on cardstock and then it trimmed it to be ready for the truck. Then my truck was looking a little sad with the edges off of it, so I painted the front and the back of the cab white as well as the 2 sides of the wheels black. I went up and around the front and the top of the sign in case anybody's looking at it from the top because my printables won't cover that. I took a picture of the truck before I ripped everything off so I could recreate it in a green color because I thought that would coordinate with both graphics the best. And then I used double stick tape to apply both of my billboards to either side of my truck so it was reversible. After trimming any excess cardstock, this thing was good to go. It's going to be awesome for tiered trays or just fun little setups. I love how this looks with my little Pop Funko. I got Papa Elf and Buddy, but I will link it. It's on Amazon down below. And I love how the truck goes with my new Clark ornament. This is from Hallmark this year, but they also have it on Amazon. They've got a set of Clark, Ellen, and the 2 kids when they're out in the wilderness looking for their Christmas tree. So if you're interested in that too, I will link it down below. Up next, we're grabbing these stencils from the box, and I thought this could easily be transitioned to Christmas. So when I saw these 2 greenery pieces up in the corners, I thought I could trim these off and use them as kind of a base for a holly berry motif. So I cut both of them off so they swagged the right direction, and then I got out some antique green chalk paint, cut a disposable makeup brush in half so I had a smaller stamping area, and then I went through and stamped one on the right, one on the left, and then I took a little paintbrush with some red acrylic paint and just freehanded some little berries on there. And the second you add the red to the green, I think it makes anything look Christmas. So whatever greenery stencils you have, you could do this as well. Then I cut out M, E, R, and Y from the words that Wendy sent me to create Mary. And I'm just using painter's tape. It's a little janky here because I had to kind of like Frankenstein the letters, but it ended up working out just fine to get Mary across the center. I did the R in the center first, so I knew that was in the middle, then the 2 outsides, and then I did the E and the R. But I think this is super cute on this wood cutout. You can get these anywhere, but mine are from Amazon. And you can also use it as a shelf sitter, so it's a multi-use piece.
Up next, I am grabbing one of the challenge items, which are these 3 pillar candle holders. And while the brass could be used for Christmas, I've got a DIY today, so let's make them a little bit more festive.
So full transparency, I started spray painting them white and it made me really sad because I would totally have used the brass in my decor, but it's a challenge item, so we're going to DIY and I'm going to look for these so I can buy them and leave them the brass. So I really loved how the greenery and the berries turned out on the ornament, so I decided to add the same motif to the bottom of all three of them. So I did the 2 green pieces as well as the red dots for the berries, and I really like how simple it looked, but also very festive. And then in my recent Kirkland's Dupes video, I made this really fun candy cane LED candle. They wanted like an ungodly amount of money for it, so I made it for much less. I decided to make 3 smaller versions with Dollar Tree LED candles I had in my stash. And if you want to see how to make those more in depth, I will link that video up above as well as in the description. But they were the perfect addition to these 3 candlesticks. I think this is going to be great as well for my gingerbread setup, very festive. And I went ahead and also sprayed these with a polyacrylic sealer, so the glitter wouldn't get everywhere, because you guys know how I feel about glitter.
You guys know I love making over Dollar Tree signs, especially when you can just flip them over and give yourself a blank slate. So I'm going to use this to dupe one that I recently saw at Michael's, but for much less.
So off the bat, we're going to prep this sign just like we did the truck. So we're going to get rid of any tags, any hangers we don't want. And then I'm also going to go ahead and measure this so that I know the size for the printable art I'm going to add to it. I like to peel off the paper because that gets rid of a lot of glitter. I could just apply it on the back, but then when I store it, there's still glitter on the sign. So I like to remove it, but it's personal preference on what you want to do. Once I got all those pieces off, as you can see to the right, I gave it a quick sand. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want the raised pieces off. It took me about 5 minutes. Then I have a new cookie recipe printable for Christmas for gingerbread cookies, and I ended up sizing this to 8 inches by 9 inches to fit my board. I also printed another sheet of my DIY wrapping paper so that I could add that to the back. After I trimmed down my printable, I wanted to essentially use that faux wrapping paper as some scrapbook paper. So I traced the handle and then I cut some strips for all of the sides. Now I cut 2 copies of this print so that I could line it up around the outside to try to make it look like one continuous piece. This cutting board was a lot bigger than my 8.5 by 11 paper, and I don't have a big printer at my house, so I couldn't get like a engineer print made or something larger than the 8.5 by 11. But this worked out good. I just matched it up as I went, trimmed the pieces as needed, and added some double stick tape so it would stay around the outside. After a quick trim, it was time to use more double stick tape to mount my gingerbread recipe. Now I originally wanted to use these pearl push pins that I hauled in a recent video, but they were just not going through the MDF board and they stuck out too far. So after adding this baker's twine to the top, I decided to replace those with some little gingerbread. So I did these cutouts, painted them in nutmeg brown, and then added some puffy paint to make them look like iced cookies. Glued them on to all 4 corners to cover up the holes I made, and then I popped apart a clothespin so that I could glue the 2 pieces to the back so the sign would be a shelf sitter because I got rid of the hanger at the top. I love watercolor printables. You guys know if you've been around for a while that this is totally my jam. I really love this, and I'm hoping this will be another great addition to those floating shelves. I just have to get my tush in gear and get those built and up on the wall so I can decorate for Christmas.
This one's gonna cross off 2 items for me. I am grabbing the crosses from the box as well as this little buffalo check sign.
So this project kind of got worse before it got better, but the first thing I did was go to my stash, which is always like this. It looks like a mess. And I was looking for unfinished wood pieces because I wanted to be able to stain everything for a uniform look. I ended up grabbing this gingerbread house that I bought for another project, but I'll just have to go get another one. And then I grabbed the sign from Wendy because I thought that would make a great base for my nativity scene / stable that I'm going to build here. Now these dowel rods were left over from my Hocus Pocus dolls, so I measured them to the size of my little house. And then I used a flathead screwdriver to pop off the chalkboard piece of the sign just because it wasn't sitting flat with the 2 layers. It was just quick and easy, do a little wiggle, and then I flipped over my sign and realized I could pop off the front.
Please work, don't be a jerk.
So after a few careful pops and being very ginger with it, I was able to be successful and get that off the front so it would be a mirror of the back.
Yes, I didn't break it, yes. Yes!
So stick with me here. I know it's kind of all over the place, but honestly, this is how I create for these videos, and I thought it'd be fun for you to see. So I'm filling the 2 holes at the top because we don't want this to be a hanger, and once it's dry, I'm going to sand it down as well as any rough pieces. Now this is the project where I'm using the pipe cleaner and the clothespins as a challenge, and I ended up breaking apart about 15 Dollar Tree clothespins so I could stain them. So we've got our gingerbread house, the front of the gingerbread house, our clothespins, our dowel rods cut down, our little base, and then I also grabbed some little thin dowel rods from Dollar Tree from my stash so I could stain those and have them on hand in case I needed them for stabilization. Then I'm using Early American Stain and I'm staining the entire thing, all of the different pieces, so that it all looks cohesive. And that's what I like to do with Dollar Tree items to make them look like they're supposed to go together. While the stain was drying, I grabbed the cross and I went through and painted it with some metallic gold paint to make it really look like a star. Now it is time to assemble. So I started with my gingerbread house with some glue down the bottom, and you want to make sure it's turned around so you have that blank background facing forward. I'm going to reinforce it with some more glue and put that to the side to harden. Then I'm adding glue to the bottom of each side of that broken off piece of the gingerbread house to make the front opening of the stable. I needed to do a little bit of finagling to make sure it would stand up on its own, but once I did, it was coming together and I was like, this might actually work. So then we're going to use our clothespins as kind of shingles or shims on the top of the stable. So I alternated the front of the clothespin or the clip part as well as the end part. So I just did them alternating so that it looked kind of rickety and shack-like to really give the stable feel. And if you're not a fan of the little wispies from the hot glue gun, you could easily use Dollar Tree super glue for this, the gel. I added a couple pieces kind of rickety on the top. So now it was time to add my star to my manger, and we're going to use a pipe cleaner for this. But we had to get a little creative because I didn't want it to be fuzzy. It was going to throw off the whole look of the wood and, you know, the rustic vibes. So I cut a little piece and I pulled off all of the little fluff pieces. I ended up separating the red from the white because this is the only pipe cleaner I could find. But once I did, I could feed it into my cross, and this is going to have it be suspended above the nativity scene. So it looks like it's a star in the sky versus just gluing it on the front of my nativity. After messing with it to get it to sit where I wanted, I added some more paint so then that way it wasn't a silver piece and then a gold star, but this worked out so well, and I love how it is suspended above the nativity scene. So here it is with nothing in it, and I think honestly for Dollar Tree items this looks awesome. I just styled it with some greenery as well as some trees from Dollar Tree, and I wanted to try to see what this nativity scene from Dollar Tree would look like in the Dollar Tree stable. And so I painted all of the pieces with gold to match the star, and then I cut down some of those dowel rods and glued them to the bottom to use them as little like kickstands because I didn't want to hook them to the actual nativity. Now they look a little small, but I wanted to give you guys an idea of what it looks like for scale. What I plan to use it with this year is with this little sculpture of the Holy Family. I got this for about $10, $11 at Hobby Lobby. I really like it. It's a very modern, neutral vibe. I love that the star is going to float over that. And this is a great little set to complement my big nativity set that I have.
Wendy sent me this wood cross as a challenge item, and when I saw it, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it.
So we're going to start by removing the hanger and using wood filler to fill the hole because we're going to use this as a sign versus a hanger. I like plastic wood filler, but you can use whatever you have. You just want to make sure for this type of project that you can stain it. Then I'm taking some more Early American so it matches my nativity scene I just made, and I'm doing all of the edges front and back. So I was looking for something completely unrelated and this pin popped up. I have had it saved for a little bit and I thought this would be great to use it on this cross. So I started by having the image up and taking a pencil and kind of roughing out where Joseph and Mary's heads were, where their like clothes would be, and where baby Jesus would be. Then I started with my colors that I had. I used everything that was in my paint closet, so I just kind of winged it to get it as close as I could. I'm a lot better at looking at something and recreating it than like starting from scratch and trying to come up with all the ideas. So honestly, I am not here to give a tutorial on how to paint because I don't think that I am qualified, but I did want to share a fun time lapse of it coming together with the different colors so you can kind of see how I did it in case you want to recreate it. After it was where I wanted, I grabbed another one of those crosses to do another star at the top and also to really cover that hole with the wood filler because it doesn't ever stain perfect. And then I took an extra little clothespin from the last project and added a kickstand again so the cross would stand up on a shelf. Now, I was pretty proud of myself with how this turned out. I am more of a fan of like these abstract type things versus having it be super realist because I can't do that personally with my painting skills. But I would say this is pretty beginner friendly. Just take your time, be patient with yourself. But I think it turned out really great and I'll probably display it near my nativity scene.
So this next one I think could easily be a challenge item for me because I was struggling to think of what to do with it, and that is this leaf tray.
So I had about 20 different ideas for this leaf thing, and I just went back and forth. Well, I decided to first spray paint it white, and then it sat on my shelf for a couple days while I thought about it. And then I thought, okay, we're doing gingerbread, other DIYs. Let's try to take this the candy route. So I was able to bend back the little leaf piece pretty easily so that I just had the center shape. I couldn't get it off, but I could at least bend it out of the way. And then I took a pencil and drew on a peppermint kind of curvature like guidelines for me. Then I'm taking a detailed brush with some just red acrylic paint and I'm painting it like it is a peppermint candy. I ended up having to do 3 coats to get good coverage of the red because the first 2 were like really light and it didn't look that great. But once I finished the 3rd coat, it looked a lot more vibrant. So then I wrapped it in some Dollar Tree cellophane to A, make it look more like candy, but B, to also kind of like mask the fact that it's not a circle. It's like this crazy leaf shape that I'm trying to make into Christmas stuff. But once I secured that with double stick tape, I tied the 2 ends tightly with some baker's twine to go with the motif, and this thing was ready to go. Now, personally, on its own, it's not like the most earth-shattering thing, but I do think it will be fun to put on a shelf kind of in the background where it adds to the color and the festiveness of a setup without it being like, hey, this isn't a circle. I'm sure there were 95 other ideas that you could do, and you guys will let me know down in the comments, but I think it turned out cute, and I will have this displayed in my gingerbread stuff.
That's going to do it for today's installment of the Mystery Box Challenge. Be sure to head down to the comments and let me know how you think I fared with this challenge. I'm pretty happy with how everything turned out. A huge thank you to Courtney for always putting this together and doing all the logistics. And up next for you is Melanie's video over at Simple Made Pretty. So head down to the description and I will have the full playlist link there. You can head to her video and then on to the next one. And then you can come back around and watch Wendy's and then you'll be back to me. Thanks so much for watching. If you're new, be sure to hit subscribe down below so you don't miss any future Christmas DIYs, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!